commencing 21st of May 2018. I haven't had the time to continue with weekly diaries as such, so this is basically a big catch-up diary because of where I have to do it all on my own and I don't have the time. But I have completed the song instrumentation and it is mixed to some extent. I do believe it's fully mixed, every channel is completely EQ'd and everything is sitting nicely with each other. So last diary I'd done the guitars, this diary I have to do the bass. As you can see here, I recorded the bass once. They both say bass dirty amp 2. That's because there was originally about 4 bass tracks, which was 2 clean and 2 amp from the EBS bass amp at college. I used the Sans amp to get the distortion, and as you can see on the EQs here, so this first one is a low pass filter, I believe. So if I just there should just be low end. So the next thing that I had to work for was the vocals. So when I first started this project, I had the hope of having 2 guitarists. I would play bass and I would have a drummer. Sadly, that didn't happen, but I did get a main vocalist for the choruses and for there's a small harmony here. I did the main screams in the verse, which we can have a quick listen to. Something you will hear is that it has been highly compressed and had saturation added to it. That's because I got in contact with a producer on a degree course, I believe, and he mostly records, mixes and masters metal, so he knows the techniques for doing it. He has a plugin which is a gain reduction that a producer made, and it's voiced specifically for metal screams. So I will play it and you'll hear that it's not necessarily raw. Like the original audio was quite raw, you could tell it was through a microphone. But with this, it has, as you can see here, I've put a noise gate on it. I did compress it. It's not that much compression, but it's still a fair lot. You can see that it's got soft distortion as well, which again adds more thickness to it. I put an echo on it because of the band Avatar, which is my main inspiration for this. Their vocals aren't necessarily like traditional metal vocals, where it's just the vocals as such, there's no effects. But with Avatar, they have delay and reverb, and it adds a really nice kind of structure to it. So as you can hear here, there is echo on it.
We fight the fights, testing to lose, but how we always will win. The forces are failing out of time. We clean the path, for now we have done the dangerous fun.
And when you listen there was a click and a pop, but when you put that in the full mix, so everything that there is, you won't notice it as much.
We fight the fight, testing to lose, but how we always will win. The forces are failing out of time. We clean the path, for now we have done.
So you only really notice like the actual vocals as to the click that was right just before this transient. The next thing I worked on was the chorus vocals. As you can hear here, they are affected. There is a bus. I'm sending them to a bus. You look here, it has the space designer for another reverb. I send both the main chorus vocals and the harmony for the last chorus to the same bus. So you'll be able to hear here.
The kingdom is free, our work is done. The kingdom is free, our tales are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free. The kingdom is free.
You'll notice as well that it's 2 completely different takes, both panned to the opposite side. So when you listen to them themselves, you can really clearly hear that they are different, but when you put them in the mix, you can't necessarily tell there are 2, and you can't hear the imperfections in each track. So you can hear that it almost sounds like one take at the same time. The next thing I had to work on was the harmonies. Now, I have a friend who isn't actually a singer, and she can harmonize. Like, it's almost like she naturally harmonizes, and it's kind of magical when you put reverb on it.
The kingdom is free, our work is done. The kingdom is free, our tales are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free. The kingdom is free, our work is done. The kingdom is free, our tales are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free.
This back. The kick was kind of the usual kick where you take a little bit of the low. The guitar. This caused a lot of problems. As you can see here, both guitar tracks were kind of mixed together. So the main EQ, there's a drop at 4,000 hertz, which apparently the producer told me that in a lot of distorted guitar, there is a frequency that isn't nice. So if I take this, put this 4000 back in, you can hear again that there's another note there that doesn't need to be there. So you take it out, and it clears the guitars up. That's basically it for the guitars. You know, we have an amp and pedal board, which I went through in the previous guitar video. We go down to the clean vocals. This was the next kind of main thing that I had to work on. You can see here that there is this small drop at 355 hertz, which is kind of the boxiness of the mic. So when I play,
It's free, our tales are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free. The kingdom is free, our work is done. The kingdom is free, our tales are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free. Free, our work is done. The kingdom is free, our tales are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free. The kingdom is free, our work is done. The kingdom is free, our tales are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free. Free, our work is done. The kingdom is free, our tales are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free. The kingdom is free, our are undone. The kingdom is free, we are all free.
so that was the mixing that I had to do to all bring it together on the final on the stereo. You can see that there is a limiter, which I don't currently have on. But when you put it on, apparently in metal, it's a technique called brick walling. At the moment, you can see my voice coming through, but I'll stop talking to show you. But a brick walling is basically a technique used that will. It almost acts like a brick wall, so your sound is going to that brick wall, and the brick wall's not letting anything through. So you'll see that on the main output, it's just flat. So I'll stop talking, I'll do it without first, and then I'll do it with after. And you'll be able to see the difference in the main outputs, so up here and up here. So as you could see, it filled out the sound considerably, and nothing was fighting for space. Even though there was like slight drops, nothing was trying to fill the gap, and that was all down to like level mixing in the main thing. So it all sounds one, it all sounds complete. It's not going to be unattractive to listen to. Like I feel the mixing techniques and everything else is done in a way that people are going to want to listen to it, because it's a nice sounding song, not like the song itself, so the riff or that, but the production of the song is fairly high quality, so that you can have the satisfaction of all the instruments and enjoy the song. Like, I find personally that when I listen to songs and I can hear all the instruments working together, I find it a much more enjoyable listening experience compared to when, like, you can't hear the bass and everything just sounds weak without that bass, or you can't hear the cymbals and drum kit, and it just ruins the rest of the song. Like, lyrically, riff-wise, it could be a great song, but if the production's not good enough, no one's going to want to listen to it. So I pushed myself to do the best that I possibly could, so people would want to listen and listen again. So that was the whole technique of the song. I hope that I will get a lot of listens with it. The amount of work that I've put in. Sadly, I did want to do a whole EP, 4 tracks, telling a small story, but because I had to write, record, and then mix every instrument, so I did the scream vocals, I did all 3 guitar tracks, I did the bass, and I programmed the drums. And then to learn to mix it, I wouldn't have had time to do all 4 tracks. So I just put all my effort into this one track to make it the best I possibly could. And I think all the time and effort has paid off. Thank you.